How do you see that rand standing in world terms?
The reason why the rand is as weak as it is relative to other currencies is total perception and the view on where it's going to. Think about a company. The rand is the country's share price. Think about a company. If a company gets bad management in it, and you as an investor look at it and you say, I don't think these guys know what they're doing. In fact, I think they're going in the wrong direction. You are going to sell that company's shares. And currencies are just a reflection of a global view and everybody's view. Markets are wonderful things in this way, is that they tell you exactly what it is that everybody believes in the consensus about a particular asset. And our currency is weak and will continue weaker until we grasp the nettle. Tony, the World Economic Forum does an analysis of competitiveness around the world. In key areas, South Africa ranks really, really poorly.
Education.
Labour flexibility. We're 148th out of 148. Now we have a Labour minister, Mildred Oliphant, bless her, who I don't know if she's even looked at that, but from her perspective, she just blithely ignores it. She says, we have the best labour legislation in the world. Now either the rest of the world's wrong or Mildred Oliphant's wrong. There's someone else who should actually pack her bags and let's get somebody who knows what they're doing in that area of the economy.
I was a bit naughty there. I deliberately led you down this path, playing devil's advocate with you. But yes, it is a problem. So what we're really talking about is we have the wrong people in the wrong jobs here.
Sometimes.
In leadership.
Sometimes you...
Not only in government.
If you're in a difficult situation as a politician, you have to make trade-offs. If you're in a difficult situation as a corporate executive, you have to make similar trade-offs. Now, many of the corporate executives in South Africa say they see very little growth in this economy. They see lots of uncertainty. They see some really strange policies that the rest of the world, we know all over the world, have been a disaster, but they're being implemented here. Social engineering, bad labour legislation. Those who are in jobs are very happy, hence the trade unions are happy. Those who don't have jobs, well, the barbarians are at the gate. Fortunately, we're in Africa. The barbarians, fortunately, don't storm the castles. We've seen that in Zimbabwe as an example. So people here are the generosity of spirit of our people on our continent is just, it's overwhelming. Otherwise, the kind of things that are imposed on the population, had they been done in European countries where they have a different approach towards the generosity of spirit, there is no Ubuntu there, things would have changed very dramatically. So, and sometimes, for those with cultures that are brought from Europe, it's very frustrating to see that, well, things will work out in time. And they do work out in time. Some people get impatient. The reality is we need to, at some point, understand we are not an island. We are 0.3% of global GDP. We're a cork on the ocean. If we don't adopt the right policies that are going to, and those that have been proven elsewhere in the world, we're going to continue sliding, and our currency will continue.
Where do you see us going? Where do you think it's going to end up?
South Africa.
Yes.
I love this country, and I believe in its people.
Yes, but I'm asking you to put emotion aside.
No, I believe that these human beings are highly complex beings. They do try to swim against the tide. They do try to socially engineer from time to time. But you cannot, in this kind of a global environment, indefinitely go against the tide. And eventually, the realities of the world impose themselves. You take our foreign debt. We as a country, we import more than we export. Not just goods and services, but capital. We're a developing country. We desperately have to have capital. You and I will remember what happened after P.W. Botha did the Rubicon speech in 1985.
No capital.
Well, Willard C. Butcher, the chairman of Chase Manhattan Bank, the next week said, fine, Mr. Botha, if you're not prepared to release Mandela and unban the ANC, we want our money back. And everybody else followed it. We had a debt standstill in this country. We had to export capital for a 5-year period. People forget this. We were unable to import any products here. Everything that we exported, the receipts that came from there went to pay the bankers. We are dependent on the rest of the world. We know that, but sometimes we think that we can get our friends in China or our friends in Russia, now that we're members of BRICS, to help us out? Well, they gave us a cold shower in Fortaleza. In Fortaleza, there was a view amongst the South African government that the development bank, which had been raised at the Durban meeting a year ago, would be based in Johannesburg. It isn't, because China and Russia say, you, South Africa, are 0.3% of GDP. We are far bigger than you are. We are far richer than you are. You're actually the poor cousin at this table. So remember where you sit, and we will give you what we want to give you. We will not dispense largesse because you aren't doing things the right way. So it's almost been this crazy assumption that, well, we don't have to do things right because if the Western banks won't support us, the Chinese and the Russians will. The Chinese and Russians have said we won't.
So from your point of view as Alec Hogg persona, you are an optimist for South Africa and its future.
I've always been. I mean, we have the most fantastic people. Sometimes we're not terribly well led. Sometimes. One day we'll be well led.
Yeah.
We have an amazing constitution, and to that Cyril Ramaphosa and Rolf Meyer and the other people at CODESA and the people who drew up the constitution have our eternal credit and should have it for generations to come, because this is a country that has got the kind of constitution that made America great. Forget not, America in 1796, I think, when the Constitution came out, was 0% of global GDP. Today, with 5% of the world's population, they generate 25% of the world's wealth. Now, there's some reason for that. Their rules are better than anybody else's. Their rules allow human endeavor to succeed. Their rules open up the spirit of entrepreneurship. They allow people like you and me to come from humble backgrounds and to achieve much, much more than other rules, other constitutions, or other political systems would do. We have one of those. We have got everything in place. Sometimes we forget. We just need to learn it a little bit better.